had the error of the invasion of Iraq not occurred, if we can rewrite history slightly and say that there was the action in Afghanistan, there was the toppling of the Taliban, there was eventually the tracking down and killing of Osama bin Laden, but there had never been what happened in Iraq, would we look back on all of this as a significantly more successful sequence of events?
In the greater Middle East, we're faced with two problems. One problem is terrorist organizations. Al-Qaeda is an example. ISIS is an example. What's the best way of attacking a terrorist organization? Not invading a country. The best way is to mobilize an effective international police action to root out and destroy the terrorist organization. That's what we should have done. That should have been the response to Al-Qaeda in the wake of 9/11. And indeed, there were people, not me, there were people in the wake of 9/11 who said that waging a global war on terrorism makes no sense, that waging war on terrorism is a losing effort, that Al-Qaeda certainly was a menace to international peace and security, and an international police effort would have been the appropriate response. So there were people who made that point at the time. But the second definition of the problem, I think, is that is an ideological problem. That within Islam, and I want to be careful not to somehow suggest that I think Islam is the problem, but within Islam, there is a radical, anti-Western, violent ideology. And ultimately, restoring order to this part of the world will require the eradication of that ideology. What's the best way to do that? Well, I think in many respects, the approach we've taken, the reckless use of American military power in introduction to the region, actually fuels the ideology, doesn't reduce it. I think the only way to reduce the ideology is to delegitimize it, to persuade young people living in the Islamic world that retreating into the 15th century actually is not in their interests.